Bonjour et bienvenue sur le podcast de l'Alliance française de Jaipur. Aujourd'hui, partons à la découverte de l'artiste Berthe Morisot. Berthe Morisot, une femme artiste chez les impressionnistes. Born in 1841, Berthe Morisot grew up in a family from the French bourgeoisie. With her sister Edma, they attended drawing and piano classes, which was very common for young girls at that time. The passion of drawing and painting started from there. Raised in a very open-minded family, they learned from art masters like Camille Corot, a French painter, with whom they learned strong art techniques. But can we really speak of masters when we know that Berthe Morisot always refused to be attached to any of them? She was a free spirit, and even though she had many doubts during her entire career, she led a very independent life and always fought to be recognized as a painter. First, let's go back to the 1860s to understand the artistic context at that time. In France, at the beginning of the 19th century, artists used to learn very traditional drawing techniques in the Fine Arts Academy. In this institution, they copied masters' artworks from Renaissance but also from the Antiquity and responded to a certain hierarchy of genres. Yes, there was actually a hierarchy of paintings. And on the top of that pyramid, you could find all historic paintings. At the bottom of it, landscapes and still lifes, for example, that were not considered at all as noble artworks. When they came out from this academy, artists and painters exposed in prestigious art fairs called salons. These salons were essentials for the artists to introduce themselves in the Parisian artistic scene. But by the middle of the 19th century, a group of artists did not answer anymore to these codes. Modernity was rising. By deviating from these academic norms, they introduced a new kind of art and completely shocked the audience and critics. They could not anymore expose in these salons, so they decided to create their own art exhibition, le Salon des Refusés. The first Salon des Refusés took place in 1863. After a couple of years, some of these artists decided to create their own group, and from this decision was born the first impressionist exhibition in 1874. Now, how did this major artistic movement get its name? Claude Monet, one of the main actors of the movement, exhibited there his painting Impression Soleil Levant, and a critic named Louis Leroy accused it of being an impression, as not a finished painting. Indeed, how can we characterize Impressionism movement? Well, by a different facts. Outdoors painting, representation of the real life, small and visible brush strokes, impression of unfinished, unblended colors, and a completely different palette with brighter colors. When we hear Impressionism, some names come to our mind: Monet, Manet, Renoir, Degas, and maybe Caillebotte. All men artists, and among them, Berthe Morisot. She is a major artist and founder of the Impressionist movement. We call her the painter of happiness, and she is known for her women models, intimate scenes, and modern life. But her painting is much more than that. It is the illustration of modernity and originality that she brings in the collective, and of her free and independent mind. Becoming a professional painter for a woman at that time was a very difficult mission. Women were not allowed to study in the Fine Arts Academy until 1887. According to the general opinion, painting for women should only be a hobby. But Berthe Morisot was determined to become an artist, and therefore she attended classes from major French painters. In 1867, while copying antique and practicing in the Louvre Museum, she met the artist Édouard Manet. They became friends, and Berthe Morisot, his muse. Édouard Manet painted over 14 portraits of her. She was her muse, yes, but we can definitely see how they influence each other in their art. Berthe encouraged him to paint outdoors, change his habits, and by the end of his career, we can notice that he used much more brighter colors. When her sister Edma, with whom she studied painting, got married and abandoned painting, Berthe seemed very destabilized, but also even more committed to pursue her career. In 1874, during the first impressionist exhibition, Berthe Morisot was the only woman artist exposing her paintings. On the same year, she got married with Eugène Manet, Édouard Manet's brother. And even after her marriage, she continued to sign her paintings with her birth name, Berthe Morisot. And that was absolutely revolutionary during the 19th century. What are the specificities in her art? What makes it so unique? Well, it differs from her colleagues on several points. First, with the themes she chooses: maternity, domestic scenes, intimacy of women's lives. She has the power to make simple daily life scenes into extraordinary ones. But her genius is mostly in the way she paints, because in the end, that is way more important than the subjects themselves. She has a huge freedom in her paint strokes and the way she uses colors. In 1880, a critique called her the angel of unfinished. Among all the other impressionist artists, she was the one that experimented the most this idea of non-finished. Some of her paintings seem to have missing parts. We can observe very often blank spaces, like the self-portrait she's painted in 1885. Let's stop a moment to admire it. Dressed as a painter, she holds her palette in front of her canvas and looks at us, straight in the eyes. In the background, everything is blurred. This portrait is the perfect illustration of Berthe Morisot's strength, determination, and audacity. In this very difficult world for women artists, she struggled all her life and established her status as a painter. Seven years after this portrait, in 1895, Berthe Morisot dies, and her death certificate mentions "without a profession." And we had to wait over 100 years to admire her first retrospectives in museums. 100 years! How could an artist such as Berthe Morisot has been forgotten over the years? What space do we give to women artists in museums and art history? Today, feminist collective artists are asking these questions through their art, and hopefully, museums and exhibitions are finally organizing big exhibitions dedicated to women artists only. It was high time, but the struggle is still on. Merci à toutes et à tous pour votre écoute et à très vite pour un nouvel épisode. À bientôt!